Hey everyone, it is middle grade March, and I have some recommendations for the third prompt, books with books on the cover. Hi, my name is Jonathan, and this is Mr. Pearson Talks Books. It's middle grade March time again, and so we have some reading prompts to talk about. Now, if you're not familiar with middle grade March, it is a yearly readathon that we do in the month of March. It's put on by the channel Books and Jams, along with others, and I'll leave a link down in the description so you can check it out, where we encourage people to read middle grade books, primarily because they're often overlooked because people think they're children's books. And the 5 prompts for this year were books with a name in the title, books about siblings, books with books on the cover, historical fiction, and books by diverse authors. And today I want to give you a list of some books that I would recommend that have books on the cover. The first one is a perennial favorite in my classroom, and that's Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein. And this book is about a kid named Kyle and a number of other kids in his class at school who were invited to come check out the brand new library that's been built by this eccentric billionaire, Mr. Lemoncello. And their town hasn't had a library for many, many years. And Mr. Lemoncello grew up in that town and he loved the library. So he decided he was going to come and build a new one. So these kids get invited to come and check out the new library. And then they find out it's an escape room. And so they have to use the clues and the resources in the library to help them figure out how to escape from the library. And in doing so, they'll win a bunch of prizes. I love this book primarily because it's a lot of fun. It's funny. And it's also a love letter to books, which is why I have this channel. I love books and the library. And I do love my library. So definitely check out Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library by Chris Grabenstein. It's the first book in a series, and all of the other books are just as much fun. Next, the next book that I want to recommend, and this is my all-time favorite book, and that's not hyperbole. I have read this book more times than I think any other book, and that book is called When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stead. Now, I have to tell you, the cover of the book that I have has a book on the cover. They've since updated the cover, and I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan of the new cover, but the story inside is great. It's the story of a girl named Miranda who lives in New York City at the end of the 1970s. And she lives with her mom, and one day she and her friend Sal are walking home from school when out of nowhere, this kid comes up and punches Sal right in the face. And Sal runs home, and for whatever reason, that's the end of Miranda and Sal's friendship. At the same time, Miranda starts finding mysterious notes in places that notes aren't supposed to be, and they're written directly to her. And they seem to give clues about an event, a very tragic event that's going to happen in the future. This book. It's a love letter to the story A Wrinkle in Time. It references it over and over again. It won the Newbery Award in 2010, I believe. Just an absolutely wonderful book. Cannot recommend this book enough. I read it to my students every year. And if you've read it, when I say this next part, you know what I'm talking about. Every time I get to that part, I have to choke back the tears, and I usually fail. If you've read it, you know. If you don't, well, here's your opportunity to read it and find out what I'm talking about. The next book on the list, this is also by Rebecca Stead. She wrote it with a co-author, Wendy, and that's called The Lost Library. And this book is the story of a boy who one day he's walking through town and he notices that there's a free library that showed up that wasn't there the day before. And so he gets a book from there and he finds some mysterious stuff inside and starts investigating and trying to figure out how is his dad tied to a fire that happened many years ago. There's also a cat involved, and it's just a great story. A lot of fun to read. A lot of my students are reading it right now. We have some at the school that I work at. We have something called Virginia Reader's Choice. And this book happened to be chosen for the Virginia Reader's Choice books. So I would highly encourage you to check it out. It's a great story, just a lot of fun to read. I don't typically get into a lot of realistic fiction. This has a little bit of fantasy elements to it, but overall, really good book. Anything by Rebecca Stead, I'm going to encourage you to read. Next on my list, another favorite, and again, you have to get the right cover for it to have a book on the cover to fit the prompt, but that's Matilda by Roald Dahl. If you've read Matilda, and I hope you have, you understand why I chose this book, because even if it doesn't have books on the cover, it is all about a little girl who loves to read books. Matilda, she lives with her parents and her brother, and her parents are awful people. They're just dreadful, dreadful, terrible individuals, which is unfortunate for her. So she learns to read by herself, and she walks to the library, and she escapes into books. And then she gets to invite, or when the time comes for her to go to school, she goes to Cruncham Hall, which is run by another terrible individual, the Trunchbull, probably one of the worst villains in all of children's literature. And Matilda, she is in the class with Miss Honey. And Miss Honey is wonderful, probably one of the greatest heroines in all of children's literature. And Matilda and her class have to figure out how to survive when the Trunchbull comes calling. Just a wonderful book. Roald Dahl has a wicked sense of humor, so it's funny. It's also a little biting at times. When I read it to my class, they always get a kick out of everything. There's also a wonderful musical that I've taken my family to see a couple times, and we've always enjoyed seeing it. And that's Matilda by Roald Dahl. And then the last book, this is actually a series of books, and I've read probably 3 or 4 of them, and that's the Pages & Co. series by Anna James. And this book is, the first book is called The Bookwanderers, and it's about a little girl who finds out that she has the ability to travel into stories. And so she goes into the stories because she wants to find out whatever happened to her mother. Her mother disappeared one day, and they couldn't get her. Nobody knows what happened to her. Her grandparents won't talk about it. So she wants to solve the mystery of what happened to her mother. And from there, the series progresses, and they're able to travel into different books when things start to go wrong, or people want to use the power of book wandering for nefarious purposes. Just a great series of books. If you love books like Alice in Wonderland or Anne of Green Gables, both wonderful stories. I'm using the word wonderful a lot here, aren't I? But I really like these books, and I think everybody should read them because they are wonderful. But if you like books like that, I think you're going to love the Pages & Co. series. They're not terribly long, probably about 200, 250 pages, and just an enjoyable read for you. So there you are. There are, I think I gave you 5 recommendations to fit. Do you have a favorite book that has a book on the cover? Or do you have a favorite book that is about books? If so, leave those down in the comments, because I'm always adding books to my recommendations or my reading list based on your recommendations, or leave it for somebody else to read as well. And if you are interested in finding out my recommendations for the second prompt, that being books about siblings, check out the video that's going to pop up here before too long. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe so you can continue to get updates when I post videos like this. And as always, my name is Jonathan. This is Mr. Pearson Talks Books. We'll see you next time.